logic, a definition is a statement that explains the meaning of a term or concept by indicating the necessary and sufficient conditions for its application. The purpose of a definition is to clarify the meaning of a term, to ensure that it is used consistently and accurately, and to avoid misunderstandings and ambiguity. Purpose of definition: to eliminate ambiguity, to increase vocabulary, to reduce vagueness of words, to explain a word theoretically, to influence attitudes. In logic, definitions serve several important purposes. Clarity: definitions help to clarify the meaning of terms used in logical statements, avoiding ambiguity and ensuring that all parties involved understand the terms being used in the same way. Precision: definitions allow us to precisely specify the criteria that must be met in order for a term to apply, reducing the possibility of error or misinterpretation. Rigor: definitions provide a rigorous framework for logical reasoning, allowing us to build complex arguments on solid foundations. Consistency: by providing clear and precise definitions, we can ensure that our logical statements and arguments are consistent with each other. Efficiency: definitions can help to streamline logical reasoning by allowing us to use shorthand or abbreviations for complex concepts, making our arguments more concise and efficient. Overall, definitions play a crucial role in logical reasoning, allowing us to communicate clearly, reason rigorously, and build complex arguments on solid foundations. In logic, a definition is composed of two parts, the definiendum and the definiens. The definiendum is the term or concept that is being defined. It is the word or phrase that we want to clarify and explain the meaning of. For example, in the definition, a mammal is a warm-blooded vertebrate animal that has hair or fur and feeds its young with milk. Mammal is the definiendum. The definiens, on the other hand, is the statement or set of statements that provide the meaning of the definiendum. It is the explanation or definition of the term or concept. In the example above, warm-blooded vertebrate animal that has hair or fur and feeds its young with milk is the definiens. Overall, the definiendum and the definiens work together to provide a clear and unambiguous understanding of a term or concept. The definiens explains the necessary and sufficient conditions for the application of the definiendum and helps us to avoid misunderstandings and confusion when using the term in discourse. 7 kinds of definitions. Modern, ostensive definition. An ostensive definition defines a term by pointing to an example or illustration of the thing being defined. For example, to define the color blue to someone who has never seen it, one might point to the sky or a blue object and say, "That color is blue." Extensive definition. An extensive definition defines a term by listing all of its individual examples or instances. For example, an extensive definition of the term fruit might list all the individual fruits such as apples, oranges, bananas, etc. Definition per genus. A definition per genus defines a term by specifying its general category or class. For example, a definition per genus of the term chair might be a piece of furniture designed for sitting. Biverbal definition. A biverbal definition defines a term using 2 words, one of which is the term being defined and the other of which is its synonym or equivalent. For example, a biverbal definition of the term friend might be a person who is a companion, ally, or confidant. Stipulative definition. A stipulative definition assigns a new meaning to a term or introduces a new term to represent a concept. For example, the term vlog was created to define a type of video blog. Lexical definition. A lexical definition describes how a term is actually used in a language, based on its common usage and accepted conventions. For example, a lexical definition of the term apple might be a sweet, round fruit with a red or green skin. Overall, the different types of definitions serve different purposes and are used in different contexts, depending on the needs of the situation. There are several fallacies related to definitions in logic. Some of the most common ones include fallacy of negative definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined solely in negative terms, by what it is not, rather than by what it is. For example, defining a chair as not a table is a fallacy of negative definition. Fallacy of figurative definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined using a metaphor or analogy that is not relevant or appropriate. For example, defining love as a rose with thorns is a figurative definition that is not accurate or informative. Fallacy of too wide definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined too broadly, such that it includes things that do not share the essential characteristics of the term being defined. For example, defining a bird as any living creature with wings is too wide, as it includes bats and insects that are not birds. Fallacy of circular definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined in terms of itself or using a synonym that is equivalent to the term being defined. For example, defining courage as the quality of being brave is a circular definition. Fallacy of synonymous definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined using a synonym that is not equivalent to the term being defined. For example, defining a car. Fallacy of too narrow definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined too narrowly, such that it excludes things that share the essential characteristics of the term being defined. For example, defining a bird as a creature that can fly is too narrow, as it excludes flightless birds like ostriches. Fallacy of obscure definition. This fallacy occurs when a term is defined using obscure or unfamiliar language that is difficult to understand. For example, defining a computer as an electronic device that processes data using binary logic circuits is an obscure definition that may be confusing to someone who is not familiar with technical terminology. To avoid these fallacies, it is important to define terms clearly and accurately, using appropriate language and relevant characteristics that accurately capture the essential nature of the term being defined. Do like, share and subscribe law_with_Janway. Also do subscribe and join my Telegram channel for notes.